Every hero has their place in For Honor, and in this video, we're going to find each place for every knight in For Honor. I didn't want to make a complete tier list of all the heroes simply because it would just make the video too long, and I want to go a little bit more in depth with each character in the Knights faction. Now, just to give you a little context, I've been playing this game since the beta. This is my second account, so I actually have all these other characters unlocked and quite a few reps on the other heroes just on my other account. So my opinions are going to be based from years of experience. I know the game has changed over time. I'm just going to give you my current overall opinion on each of the knight heroes in For Honor. Now, starting off with Warden, I'm going to go ahead and tell you that Warden was my main. He has a pretty simple kit, terrible feats. We're just going to go through his first set of feats. As you can see, we just got body count, inspire, second wind, and catapult. Second wind's okay, catapult's okay, but these other ones, they are not that great. As you can see, we got come at me. You gain more renown, heal on kills, but take more damage from attacks. This just isn't a good feat in my opinion. And overall, I believe his feats really make him struggle in 4v4 modes, but he makes up with it with his simple kit. Dodge forward, you got your shoulder bashes, and you got you're unblockable if you go through with the second heavy on a chain. This is great when it comes to duels and things like that, but when it comes to 4v4 modes, I believe Warden struggles a lot. So overall, if we're going to consider 4v4 modes and duel modes, I'm going to have to give Warden a B. I love Warden to death, but I don't think he's up there with the top heroes just because he can't hold his own in every aspect of For Honor. Next, we have Peacekeeper. Peacekeeper used to also be my main in the early days, back when her bleed used to be overpowered. But nowadays, Peacekeeper is a bit different. As you can see, we're going to take a look at some of her standout feats. As you can see, this is what I got equipped now. Stealth, thick skin, sharpened blade, and last laugh. Last laugh is pretty nice to use, especially when it actually works. You can actually kill the whole team if they're standing around your dead body, which is really nice, but this is only effective if you're dead, so it's not going to really help you if you're alive. But Fear itself is really nice if you want to be able to deal a lot of damage with Peacekeeper. Pair this with Sharpened Blade and you will deal a lot of damage with Peacekeeper. And having body count equipped also will allow you to get that health and stamina off those kills. This is overall really nice, and off the jump I believe her feats are better than Warden's, but her moveset is, in my opinion, not on par with Warden's, but still really great. So some of the standout features with Peacekeeper is if you throw a heavy then throw a light real quick, you can get a quick little bleed in. But another thing I like to do with Peacekeeper is if I'm unlocked, you can actually press the guard break really early. She'll slide to the opponent and actually get the bleed in or whatever you want to do. So if you get a guard break in, you can attack the light attack button 3 times. This will perform the bleed. After doing this, you can start up anything you want, but sometimes you can catch people off guard and just simply do the same move again right after you landed 3 light attacks. Peacekeeper is also a character that has a good flick zone, so you can zone, cancel, go into something else. This tends to throw people off. Overall, Peacekeeper's moveset is decent, but it doesn't put her ahead of any of the other characters. I'm going to have to put Peacekeeper in the C tier. Next, we have Centurion, and this character is specifically, in my opinion, made for 4v4 modes. He's also a character that can hold his own in duels, but let's take a look at his feats, of course, and the first feat that stands out to me is Haymaker. All your punches and kicks and throws now deal damage. This character can deal a lot of those, so that's always great. You got Bounty Hunter, you got the Fuego, I think that's how you say that, a projectile that deals low damage and traps the enemy for a short time. Having an enemy trapped is really good for this character's moveset because he has an unblockable that allows you to knock people to the ground, which is always good for 4v4 modes. But keep in mind, this will be at the cost of giving them a little bit of revenge on their bar. Lastly, we got Phalanx. Phalanx grants a shield to all alive teammates, including yourself. This has to be one of the best 4th feats in the game. It's so simple. I know it doesn't give you a lot of shield, but just simply giving everybody a little shield is always helpful in this game. So if you hold down Centurion's heavy attack, it gives you a long drawn out heavy, and if you pair this with the guard break button, you can either knock your opponent to the ground or get a simple punch in. He also has a kick that can be followed up with punches and heavy attacks, and you can always finish this with a punch if you want to. You keep that going as long as you have stamina. If you're in a 4v4 situation and if you have the opportunity to get a stick in, hold that guard break down, knock him to the ground, and do a heavy attack. Centurion is so good for 4v4 mode, and he can also hold his own in duels with the mix-ups that's available to him. For this reason, I'm gonna have to put Centurion in the A tier. Next, we have Black Prior. Black Prior has simply everything that a character needs. If you take a look at his feats, there's one feat that always stands out above the rest, and that's Oathbreaker. You remove all the shields from a target and temporarily prevent them from gaining any more shield. So if your opponent has revenge, you can just take that revenge away. It's a really crazy feat to have for Black Prior. And what makes it all worse is it's paired with the Umbral Shelter. For a short time, you generate shields for you and your nearby allies. Shields don't stack, but you're still generating shields for you and your ally, which is great because you can also passively heal if you go into your bulwark stance. This makes Black Prior a juggernaut in 4v4 modes, which gives him a nice little support aspect to his playstyle. One of the most iconic moves for Black Prior is the bulwark stance flip. So you want to just go into the bulwark stance, press RB or any light attack button. This can be done to 4 people at a time if you time it up right, making Black Prior super annoying to fight even with multiple people. Paired with his unblockables and undodgeable heavies, he's really annoying to deal with, and he just has everything he needs to stay alive. Now when it comes to 1v1s, he's still viable. He got his bashes, he has the ability to chain up mix-ups well and throw his opponent off, which makes him just simply good all around, and I have to put Black Prior in S tier. He has everything in my opinion, the feats, the moveset, everything he needs in every scenario. Next we have Griffin. I don't have a strong opinion on Griffin because I haven't spent much time with this character specifically, but I do know he is a support hero, as you can see by all these support symbols. As you can see, you can heal yourself and nearby allies, you can fire a bolt that deals some damage to enemies, then it heals you and your nearby allies, and then you could throw the Draconite Cleanser, throw a projectile that deals some damage to enemies upon explosion, then heals you and your nearby allies. This is really nice. Not the greatest ability, but it's a lot better than a lot of the vanilla heroes. That being said, that's going to give him extra points for this tier list. Taking a look at Griffin's moveset, it's pretty simple. One notable thing with Griffin is you can follow up your attacks with a kick, and then follow that up with some more attacks, like a heavy or a light attack. You also have a little bash that you can follow up with light attacks, and you also have hyper armor on your final heavy attack in the chain. Overall, Griffin has some pretty nice mix-ups when it comes to duels and 4v4 modes. Like I said, he's a support hero, but I find that his simplicity gives him a few drawbacks because some of his abilities can get predictable, especially this kick. You could throw it in at random times and throw people off, don't get me wrong. There is some good Griffins out there that can do really good things with that, but in my opinion, I think it's able to be caught on more than some of the other characters in this game. So I'm gonna have to put him in the B tier. He's a great character, but I think he's a B tier hero. So I'm gonna have to put him in the A tier. Next, we have Conqueror. Conqueror is a character built around high defense, as you could probably tell. Taking a look at some of his feats, some of his standout feats is the Shield Basher. Shield-based attacks now deal damage. That's great because you have a massive shield. And then we have Heal on Block. Blocking enemy heroes' attacks regenerate your health. Now the minions used to give you health from this feat, but they don't do that anymore. Now it has to be another hero hitting you. So if you're an OG player thinking that you can get heals off minions, you can't anymore. They changed that a long time ago. And then you got Regenerate, which is a good feat. You can regenerate your health anytime you need to. But you also have Uninterruptible and Catapult. These feats are pretty great, but this is the setup I like to mainly go with. Health and stamina from the minions. I would probably even throw this on in Breach as well. Like I mentioned before, Conqueror's moveset is based around defense, but he also has a lot of aggression. As you can see, we got a shield bash, just dodge forward into the guard break. So if I'm in a full guard, whether I do a light attack or a heavy attack, it's always going to be unblockable. Now let's say I got my opponent going, I got a heavy going, I can press guard break, press light attack, and follow up with another unblockable attack. I can also hold my heavy attack, swing, stop it, bait him to attack. Once he attacks, you press the heavy attack after he makes contact with your shield and get that damage in. You just want to be a counter character with Conqueror. He has everything he needs, really. And with all these abilities available to Conqueror, I gotta put him in A tier. The only reason why I won't put him in S tier is because his feats ain't like immaculate, but they are still really good. So I'm gonna put him in the A tier. Next, we have Lawbringer. Now, I actually like Lawbringer. A lot of people say he's not as good as he used to be. He's still a great character with a lot of bombs on him, apparently. So you got the Pugno Mortars for the third feat, and then you got the Igneous Ember for the fourth feat. This gives you 3 grenades for the fourth feat, and then you got 1 extra one for the third feat. Then you also have Righteous Deflection. Whenever you parry, you gain high damage reduction. This is great because Lawbringer has a lot of attacks that's based off of his parries. As you can see, if you get a parry in, you can follow up with a heavy unblockable, which is guaranteed. Follow that up with a light attack, which will stun him real quick. This is always nice. You can also just follow up with a simple light attack, or you can actually drive them to a different location if you want by holding the side heavy after a parry. This is nice if you want to ledge people because it's pretty much guaranteed after you get that parry in. You just want to make sure you press the heavy attack after you get the parry in. That's one of Lawbringer's downside because he doesn't have too much aggression. He has a little shove that guarantees a light attack, but that's it. His attacks are really long and drawn out, so you got to really play mind games with your unblockables and you're uninterruptible, and really try to throw your opponent off. Now with his abilities and his mix of decent feats, I'm going to have to put Lawbringer at C tier. He's not the greatest, but if you're good at parrying, you're going to be good with Lawbringer. You just got to learn not to get baited and know how to play mind games with Lawbringer. Next we have Gladiator. Now Gladiator has to be one of the safest heroes in For Honor. Taking a look at some of his feats, he actually also has Haymaker like Centurion. It's passive, punches and kicks and throws deal damage now. You got Neptune's Wrath, you could throw a trident at somebody and do modern damage. It's pretty nice. Then you got Roar or the Crowd. You greatly raise your attack and sprint speed stats, but if you don't want to use that, you can use Spirit Self or Catapult. These are all great feats, and for the first one, you can actually put on Deadly. Attacks deal slightly more damage every 3 seconds, and Bounty Hunter to get that health and stamina from the kills. And he also has Righteous Deflection, which is pretty nice, especially with his type of moveset, but Haymaker is just way too good not to put on. And you also have the Pugno Mortis like Lawbringer, and then you have the Boladoras, projectiles that deal low damage and traps enemies for a short time. Overall, just 3 great third tier feats. Doesn't really matter which one you put on. So when taking a look at Gladiator's moveset, we gotta talk about the toe stab. You just press down on the left analog stick, press the guard break button, you're gonna get a toe stab in. It's guaranteed if the opponent's not moving. Does a little stamina damage. You can also do a bash, dodging forward, doing the guard break, or do this to the side. You can do either one. And your zone starts off with a bash, ends with an attack. You can actually cancel this in the middle of it and do what you gotta do. He also has a deflect. If you get this deflect in, you wanna press the heavy attack button. He'll impale him. You can actually press the guard break button again, throw him into the wall to start up another combo. You could do this as many times as you land a deflect. So land a deflect, throw him, get another one in, hold back on the analog stick. You can start up another unblockable, maybe use that unblockable to feint him to attack again, and then do the deflect again. Gladiator is just nasty when it comes to this. With his safe moveset and decent abilities, I'm gonna have to put him at A tier. Maybe not S tier, because he is an assassin. He doesn't have everything he needs as far as defenses, but he is such a safe hero, he deserves an A tier spot. And last but not least, we have Warmonger. And a lot of people don't like this Warmonger skin. I know it's a little off topic, so we're gonna put this one on as well. I like this skin. This is a little setup that I made, but let's go on to our feats. And as you can see, if you look at our feats, a lot of these symbols are the same. It's because a lot of these feats do the same thing. This allows for your next attack to inflict corruption, a power dealing damage to a target and their allies only if they stay close together. This allows you to gain health from dealing damage from that corruption. Then this one allows you to just simply deal more damage with the corruption. And then your last feat allows you to blast other corruption all around you, affecting anyone in your vicinity. All of these stack up on top of each other, making Warmonger a crazy good hero when it comes to feats. So when taking a look at Warmonger's moveset, she is a pretty simple character. She has good punishes, but this comes at a small drawback because some of her attacks are predictable. Her light attacks are kind of easier to parry in my opinion. How slow they come out, yeah, you can throw people off guard by throwing them like at random times, but they just seem pretty easy to parry. But speaking of parrying, if you get a parry in and then press the guard break button, you can actually drive your enemy towards a wall to get more damage in. She also has a slap. You do this kind of like the Warden's shoulder bash. You can just dodge forward, press guard break, get your light attack in, or hold it and then get a heavy in. This is what makes it like Warden's shoulder bash, because you can hold this, cancel it, and then throw somebody into a wall. So she could definitely hold her own, and her feats are really great overall. Pairing these two things together, I'm gonna have to put Warmonger at A tier. I'm not gonna put her at S tier because I think there's some aspect of her that's pretty simple and very easy to counter, but when it comes to everything else, she's super great. So A tier is the spot for her. If you enjoyed this video and wanna see more like this, let me know by hitting that like button. And with all that being said, guys, I'll see you in the next video. Stay tuned for the Vikings tier list.